Today, inside the vault, Fred and I break down ways to apply this week's virtue as believers, husbands, fathers, and friends. Whoever you are and wherever you are, we're glad you made it. Are you ready? Let's get back to good.
All right, welcome back inside the vault. We're getting back to good. Fred and I have a hard stop today. We usually do. We're always on timeline, so I always value your time, man. But tell the people why do we have to have a hard stop today? I'm excited for you.
Put me out there. Look,
I am going to put you. You don't have to say it. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Whatever. He's going to tell you. It's not a big deal.
look. We all work hard, and there have been a lot of things that have been happening over the past couple of weeks. So I'm doing some me time.
Yeah, man.
This afternoon.
That's what's up.
Let somebody else take care of me through a massage.
There you go. That's my man. Hey, when I was a younger man, I used to sort of laugh and chuckle at people that would get massages. I'm like, that's weird because you don't think you need it. Today we're talking about ownership, by the way. So maybe this applies to it, maybe it doesn't. I'm not going to try and make connections, but it sort of does because everything's a gift.
Absolutely.
When you look at it that way. But if you're going to own your breath, your life, everything that's gifted to you and own it well, it's not really dipping into stewardship. That is actually going to be our next virtue in a couple of weeks. And it's a really good tee up. But before you can steward things, you actually have to own them and know what you own and know what is yours. So, man, I used to sort of chuckle at people that get massages. And then when I started playing rugby, I was like, oof, these are needed. And even now, if you just have a hard week or a couple weeks span or something, I don't go that frequently. But when I get it, the body gets beat down and it's just so nice.
Yes.
And the nice massage isn't one that feels nice in the moment, but afterwards you're like, ooh, now I'm glad. And again, maybe that is a beautiful picture of ownership. The things you need to do to own it well aren't pleasant in the moment, but man, they're so needed. So we're getting back to good. Before we jump into this, I'll give a quick little framework. But first, over to you. Like when you think of this, just right off the top of your mind, Fred, what comes to mind when you think of ownership as you would apply it just in space and time you're in right now in life?
Actions and decisions. This goes beyond the spiritual. This is what are you doing? What decisions are you making?
Yep.
How are you putting what you believe now into action? It's all about the action. That's my thought.
Yeah. So I looked up, very simple, and you'll see the episode that's done with Garita. She's fantastic. So there's a little bit difference of like her own personal story, which is amazing. I'm so excited that you guys have a chance to hear that. So if you didn't hear it, go back and listen to it. But now we're talking about applying this. And of course, Garita's a practical application type person as well. So it might be some crossing the streams a little bit. But to take this from a strict definition standpoint, ownership is the act, state, or right of possessing something, or even maybe a little bit better of a definition or packaging of that from a framework or a definition standpoint is the legal right to use, possess, and give away something. So when you talk about financial or fiscal ownership, if you don't have it to actually give it away, you don't really own it. So if you're on lines of credit and you owe someone interest, you can't give that away freely. So there's something to be said for the mom and pop that have cash stuffed under the pillow that they can give to you. Like, as simple as like, can I have a piece of gum? Well, if I got to go borrow one from my friend and I can't get a hold of my friend, I don't have the gum to give it to you. So it's like the smallest things. What do you own? So it is a simple framework that I think if you build upon it with a simple understanding, it's really powerful of what do I actually own?
Yeah.
And that comes with, at a deeper level, the good and the bad. So are you owning some of the bad stuff in your life and saying, ooh, that is something that I have a right and probably a need to get rid of, to give it away. So no one else can get rid of the things that you legally own. So the good, the bad, and the ugly and everything in between, man. So I think it goes deep. Yeah. But framing this up, the agency of being grounded in gratitude, I think is really helpful. Viewing everything as a gift is really helpful. And so I would be curious your mind on that because I know how I think about it. But when I view ownership, I think it is so closely tethered to gratitude and viewing everything as an actual gift that shifts my posture from maybe an arrogance or a overbearing sense of ownership to more of this free-flowing mindset of like, oh, this is something that I actually get to do and I need to take care of this well. So what are your thoughts on gratitude's path crossing with ownership?
So again, I feel like that's step one, acknowledging that it is a gift and to be thankful for the gift. But then the question still lies, what do you do with it? Because it's one thing just to say it. It's one thing to acknowledge it, but it's something else to then recognize, I now need to do something with it. Yep. Often it talks about, I think of the parable of the talents, right? And the one that had the one versus the one that had the 5. Mm-hmm. The one that got blessed was the one who did something with the 5 or 10. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was more than the one. Did something with the talents that they were given. What are you doing with? How do you show ownership of something? Through your actions, through your decisions, how you think about the gift and are grateful for it is great, but it should be a reflection of you taking action, making decisions to use it in a way that either benefits people around you, yourself, it could be, or again, from a spiritual perspective, the expansion of the kingdom. So it's, for me, it goes beyond, man. Again, I think a lot of the principles we've talked about all definitely start with mindset. This one, to me, it almost takes it to that next level. It's like, no, this has, I'm not saying nothing to do with spirituality, but a person who believes that doesn't believe, when you think of ownership, it's you possess it. And I love how you talked about, from a financial perspective, you're right. If you're using credit for things, you don't own that. Those things that you do have, the possessions that you do have, how are you using those things to benefit the people around you, yourself, your community, where you work, your families? That to me is a true reflection of someone who is demonstrating ownership and not just in word, right? Because I think a lot of people, it's easy to do that, to say, I have this, I've done this. Well, how are you keeping your house up? Is your house filthy? Like, is your car filthy? Are your children looking like they don't have any type of like manners, or are they like all of that? To me is demonstrated in the actions and what you do, how you take care of things, how you take care of yourself. And again, I completely understand there's all kinds of reasons. They're medical things, right? But even when you acknowledge and understand that you have some type of medical issue that needs to be dealt with, what can you do with the little that you have? Right? Exactly. Whatever that is. It's not about going to the gym 5 days a week and trying to be Mr. Universe. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you should show some sense of ownership in the actions over your physical body.
Yes.
Over your finances, right?
I say it a lot when I do like my weekly rucks, and it's just something that's always been in my mind with a physical mindset, but it crosses every border into the mental, the emotional. Excuses are incompatible with excellence.
Yeah.
So when it comes to ownership, and that's not just this weird cliche, I really believe that when you start making excuses for, oh, well, that's not really mine, and it is, or you want things that aren't yours. If you start making excuses for things in your life and you don't just own it, well, you can't be excellent when you're just riddled with excuses. They don't go hand in hand. They are polar opposites. They could not be further than the East is from the West. Yeah. Run that to infinity and beyond. And that's how far excuses live from excellence. They don't live in the same body and the same breath.
Yeah.
And also from a mindset of gratitude, I heard this the other day, and it just really resonated with me because it wasn't really looked at through the lens of ownership, but it was through the lens of gratitude. And the mindset is one of this, that someone who is constantly complaining is not a grateful person, because a heart of gratitude does not find space for complaining and strife and bickering and just kicking the hornet's nest relationally or in their own spirit or those around them. That doesn't mean they don't speak truth, but you're not complaining about things.
Yeah.
So if someone's constantly complaining, yes, first of all, there's not a lot of gratitude or gratefulness in that heart. But also, I don't find there's a lot of ownership, because it's one that complains, that looks for pin the tail on another donkey, maybe not, instead of maybe I'm the ass that needs that pin tailed on it. So you look at all these things and just that type of posture in someone, it's really hard for me to look at that person as someone, first of all, who's grateful and also who actually owns anything well.
Yeah.
It's difficult to make those things connect for me because I think they're dissonant and they don't exist together in harmony. Yeah. But we will sort of follow this head, hands, and heart flow. And I love what you said. There is so much more of the action in some of the decisions. But before that, this is I guess for the head, the mindset of ownership.
Mm.
Maybe some Christians have heard this verse, but I want you to think about this. Like, if we are really caring about actions in this mindset of ownership, we got to rewind it back to like, I am a firm believer that every action starts inside of the mind.
Absolutely.
There is a thought and an intent. And so 2 Corinthians 10:5 really stuck with me as a really important one. So we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God. And the second part of the verse is what really sticks with me. And take every thought captive to obey Christ. So good thoughts happen, bad thoughts happen, God thoughts happen, evil thoughts happen. A thought in itself isn't bad.
Yeah.
What you do with it and how you own it is what matters. So even the action of your thought process, and I love how it says, take that thought captive. You don't let it squirm away. You wrangle it in, you wrestle it in, and you say, okay, what do I do with this? Do I take this thought and is it a good one? And do I put it into the obedience of Christ? Is it a God download like what you said? Or do I need to be diligent to take this maybe to scripture or take this to counsel or take this to friends like Fred and say, hey, what do you think of this, man? I need another perspective. I need a fresh set of eyes and ears. And then when you're aligned with someone, that is owning your own thought process before you act on it.
Yeah.
So before we even dip into actions, which is huge, from ownership, how are you owning your thought process? And that sounds so cliche, but I think it's where everything comes from. The thoughts and intents, not just in the mind, but in the heart. And that's difficult to delineate the difference in those two. But I'm going to kick it back over to you because I know we sort of have the same mindset and framework on this. How do you view that from a personal perspective, however you want to chop that up? What are your thoughts?
So I'll go back to what you just said a few minutes ago, complaining. That's one I have matured in, and I will tell you every now and then I slip back into it. And what I realize when I slip back into complaining about something, typically two things are happening. One, I'm not viewing the situation through the correct lens. Typically, I am viewing it from the perspective of what was everyone else's contribution to my issue, or why is it everyone isn't thinking the way that I'm thinking about this particular thing? So I'm complaining about it. This person didn't do this. This person didn't do this. This didn't get done. Why is this person not doing this? Because I had expectations about something, or I had expectations of other people. When I look through complaining or look through ownership, it's a mind shift. And for me, it is what can I control? What in this situation could I have done better? What did I learn? I think you even said it a second ago. What can I learn from the gift that has now been given to me to be in this situation? Because I truly believe, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think everything happens in stages. Whatever we're experiencing now, to me, it is preparing us for something in the future. So if something's being presented to me that feels like a conflict, feels like something that's challenging, the first thing is, what lens should I see this? And if I see this from a position of gratitude, appreciation, and then look through a lens of what do I control? What do I own? It releases the thought that I need to control everything versus controlling myself. Right. So for me, it's about making sure I'm looking through a lens that puts the emphasis on Fred's contribution or lack of contribution. That could be possible. And in a perspective of what could I have done? What should I do now based on what I have control over? So for me, man, it starts, to your point, I agree, right? Next step is actions, but it starts with, I got to look at it the right way and then look at it from the perspective of what can I do versus me looking at what I thought someone else should be doing.
And I love your mindset of just the way you think on things and the way you act on those and make decisions. So you are going to think, you're going to decide, you're going to communicate that through either verbally or a sigh or a facial gesture or an action. Like there is some form of communication that takes root in the space around you and gets breathed out or acted out in the space around you that started with a thought. You decided how to act and you did it. Whether it was, oh, well, I didn't think about that. Well, you've ingrained in yourself such a reflex of that BS attitude and reaction that you don't even respond anymore. You just react ridiculously.
Yes.
So, and that happens to me. Like this, we're walking through this as well. There's nothing that we've elevated above and have figured out. But it's when you take the game tape back a little bit and look at it and run those plays again and go like, I do that same thing. I have that same tell. I do that same twitch off the line, whatever you want to call it, however you want to paint a picture for yourself. You can start seeing habits, and it takes, I think, people around you to identify those biases where you're going like, oh, why don't they think the way I do? Yeah, we all think that way. That's human nature. And to ignore that, I also think is ignorant. It's okay. I think it's smart to get people to help you understand and own some of the natural biases and tendencies that you have.
Absolutely.
I'm usually going to do this. So I need to surround myself with people who can counter that or at least call me on it well. And that makes sense from a business standpoint, from a marriage standpoint, from a parenting standpoint. You can run down the laundry list. But I think the simple rooting of the truth in that, in my mind, is the verse that says, plans fail for a lack of counsel. Mm-hmm. And it also says it in another way, in a multitude of counselor, there is safety. So who is sitting at the table of your decision making? Because if ownership is about action, actions come from decisions, and you got to make those. And if you're doing it wisely, there's some people that are helping inform that. So I think that this also goes back to what my grandma used to tell me. You show me your friends and I'll show you your character. So if you're going to own who you are, you got to own your circle.
Yeah.
And who is that? I
don't think people think about that a lot, man.
I mean, I think that's so important.
Yes, but I don't think people really take into consideration, especially, and I don't mean this in a negative way, like the older you get, the more mature. How about that? The more mature you get, the more experience you have, how you should really be aware of who is around you and the influence that they have. Because a lot of times it's not even the intentional things, it's the subconscious things that they do or say that can start to seep into your life. I mean, I remember personally at younger phases when I was around people who were very adventurous, people who loved to travel. And I was so excited about traveling. I was doing all this traveling. And then somehow I went through another phase where I went around, people who were, starting to establish families. They didn't really want to travel, and they were just kind of happy staying in the suburbs and doing suburban type things. And I'm like, why am I starting to like that? I'm like, I used to love it. It's just amazing.
Why am I such a homebody, man?
You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's amazing. But to your point, I want you to keep going. But I don't think people should really, in general, we should all be in the different phases of life too. Yes. Take inventory of the people who are speaking to your life directly and indirectly. Yep. Because a lot of times it's not even just your friends. It's who your associates are, who you are around in general for a large number of time. They made this comment in church today, which really floored me, is that we spend, or kids specifically, spend about 1,000 hours in school and about 50 hours in church. So it was this whole thing that kind of went off. I was like, wow, as a parent, I got to fill that gap. And I got to make sure that my child is around people that, again, for me and my family, who believe and align to what we believe.
Oh man, you going there already?
Because, well, I'm just saying, there's something about those environments, man, that absolutely deal with those thoughts, and then you wonder why you or your kids have certain thoughts. It's because of who they've been around.
Yep. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit of a backdrop on a conversation. Maybe I've shared this before, maybe I haven't, but I know Fred doesn't mind because it's just an honest conversation we had years ago. It might have been about, maybe the year was like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. I remember it was when I was out in 29 Palms in the high desert, and we were talking, and it was the whole, I hate saying the word because it brings so many just feelings with people, but it was around the whole COVID era. All right, so just get out your system now. Roll your eyes. Sigh of exasperation at me. Everybody had to live through it. And I remember talking with Fred about just the way things were sort of shutting down. California was wonky and weird. That's just how it was. That's just a fact. If you're out there, you know that. But then going to church, and I was like, hey, man, I said, I'm actually thankful. And in this mindset of ownership, and when you said parenting and looking at the time and the space you have with your children, we had a very honest sort of like over the phone, come to Jesus talk, if you will, about, hey, I've had a realization and he had this realization. And then we talked about it together. And it was actually really comforting and encouraging to say, we're having the same thought process of a lot of people are getting discouraged. Oh, I can't go to church. I can't hear my pastor. And I was like, as a husband and a father, if I am outsourcing the spiritual development and leadership of my wife and my children and myself and my family to another man, I'm a punk. Like, I need to own my family and my children and my role that's been given to me, not to anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as much as they might be great pastors or preachers, not to Chris Payne, not to Steve Furtick, not to an Andy Stanley. You can run down the list of your favorites. None of them are the biological father of my children and married to my wife. I guarantee you none of those things are happening. So whose responsibility, whose act, state, or right of possessing or the ability to give that away, whose ownership is that?
Yes.
It's me.
Yes.
It's me.
Yes.
And so when you view things, again, we'll tip away from maybe the head and the mindset of this, but when you take that meaning of ownership and the lens you're viewing it through, everything, when other people are frustrated and running into walls, maybe it does sound a little bit like our last topic of problem solving. You're viewing it differently, and you're viewing it as like, what's the piece of real estate that I own in my life? And am I owning that well? Because before you can even steward it, you have to own it, and you have to know that you own it. Because how can I steward something I don't even know is mine? So the ability for other people to speak into your life, maybe gifts or things that they see, good and bad. Hey, did you know this is happening? You need to like prune this away and tune this other stuff up, man. So like pruning and tuning is a really nice, simple rhyming category that I use to think of like, how am I owning things and like trimming away the weeds, nourishing the soil for good growth. But with family and children, man, you went there. So it's just, that's where my mind goes, is that is one of the biggest one where I think, men, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the throat because I got to come for mine too. We fail miserably. We let society, we let television, we let media make a laughing stock of a strong man.
Yes.
And when a family is done well, you're not arrogant. Yeah. You're not smothering and hovering over your wife and children. You're loving them. You're leading them. You're serving them. You're doing all the household chores because you realize that it's caught before it's taught. So if you want good citizens, they're going to catch it from you. Ooh. So it becomes less of a, oh, I have to do this on my wife. It's more of an ownership of like, man, the type of people I put out into the world, there's going to be some stray volts and some outside the bounds with some kids, but the majority of it, let me flip the developmental side. When they get into middle childhood, they're looking for kids. They're detaching from parents and they're moving on to friends. So if you don't catch them from the moment they're born until like middle childhood and really get a deep root of your relationship in there, good luck. It's so hard.
Yeah.
And then it moves on from there and it continues to spiral. So like these teenage issues that you have might not necessarily be a problem if you can read the tea leaves a little bit early and go like, I need to show up and own my job as the parent. Right. And I'm not saying that every kid that came into this world was a child that was planned or wanted, or maybe there was a tragic story there. I don't know. I know there's just endless stories, as endless as there are people. But man, if that's your child and you're the parent, I just feel like there's such an ownership that needs to take place there and how you view that relationship. And if everyone else on the earth was to flee away and you're the only one left, treat it like that. What are you doing for them?
Yeah.
In everything, man. Yes. They know nothing until you bring it into their life. So it is such a heavy weight, but it is such a privilege. Like it's an honor. I don't find that weird. I don't find it off-putting when I view it through like, this is mine. I take a lot of pride and joy in that. It's a true joy, as exhausting as it might be. It is such a joy to be a husband and a father and to try and do that well. I think that's a beautiful picture of true ownership. So if you're not a parent, I think maybe you can relate to this, but if you are, let it hit you where it needs to hit you, man.
Yes.
Because I think before we move into like the practical ownership of it, over to you, because I know you're the one that teed it up, but
No, man, you loaded a lot of stuff. I could keep going, but I would just say when I hear what you just said and the challenge that you specifically placed towards men, I would just say be honest. Can we all just be honest? Because I think, again, when you think about ownership, and I was, I made some references to maybe some very external material things, but you can see when you are lacking in certain areas of leadership with your families. You know it. I know I see it. If I just have to be honest, just to me put my stuff out there for a second. When I realize my children are anxious, I am pretty sure they're seeing that in me. There's something I am giving off. It could be in my energy. It could be in my shortness. Oh man, have I been challenged by being slow to speak, quick to listen? Because my natural reaction to things is to respond, and it doesn't mean I'm thoughtful. Let me be careful because I want to make sure.
Yeah, of course.
I'm thoughtful, but I'm thinking of a response. Let me be clear. I am thinking of a response, and sometimes just taking that step back to listen and to stop and to observe and watch my kids and see what's really going on. Because so many times there could be things happening, within your household, and you're so caught up. And don't get me wrong, brothers, my friends, I get it. We're thinking about providing. We're thinking about safety. We're thinking about personal goals. We're thinking about our own desires for our families, all that stuff. I get it. It's on our heads. But sometimes we just got to stop and take a breath.
Yeah.
Just take inventory and be honest about where you need to demonstrate more ownership over your families. I cannot tell you the number of times that when I've actually stopped and really listened to my kids, even sometimes I don't know about you, Josh, but like my kids, I know you've probably been better. I have not been as good at this.
I wouldn't be so quick to assume that.
In the words that they use, they're starting. So my kids are getting slightly older now. So clearly there's, to Josh's point, there's more influence from we don't do social media and stuff, but just television and them being around friends. Some of the vocabulary is changing. And there are words that my wife and I don't use. And it's not, we're not talking about bad words. I'm just saying they're just using terminology and things that I realize they're picking up from other people. And there was a couple of times they've said things I said, stop. Do you know what that word means?
Ooh,
just stop it. Right?
Yes.
Just taking that time, because you have a child who's using a term that they don't really know what that term means.
And here's the thing, man. It's not, like you said, it's not even that it's a bad word, but I do that with them all the time.
Yeah.
Because you don't communicate what you don't know.
Right.
And I mean, adults could take heed to that as well.
Yes.
So when it comes to communication, you don't fake the funk, because communication, words are powerful.
Yes.
There's a scripture on that.
Yes.
It's like a flame. It can either be warmth or it can burn you down.
Yes.
And it's like the rudder of a ship. It can either give you, sail you into fair winds and following seas, or run you aground into rocks. So or the bridle, there's so many analogies and word pictures, but the tongue and the words and the communication, but you have to stop them in that moment and be like, hey, sweetie, that's a new word. What does that mean? And a lot of times they might actually even be using it correctly. My girls sort of do in context because they're smart, but I say, what does that word mean? Define it.
Yes.
And then I say, okay, let's look it up together, because we don't say what we don't know.
Right.
That's foolish.
Right.
Have some ownership. Own what you say. Own what you do. Put your own free thinking and understanding into your actions and responses.
Yes.
Because everything is communication, man.
Yes.
And it's big, dude. I do it all the time. It frustrates them, actually. And they're like, Dad. And I'm like, Dad, I don't care.
And think about it, right? It takes time to parent.
Oh, man.
And to be a parent, it takes time. Like, how easy, and I'll even tell you what one of the examples was, what the example of my daughter was. Using the words, and this was not a big word. You'd be like, Fred, that's a simple word. But wait, it's context. That's strange. That's odd. And I'm kind of like, wait, we don't talk about when someone has a different opinion, a different thought, and go, that's strange. It's a different opinion. It's a different
Sure.
thought. It's a different way of looking at it, but it's not strange and it's not odd. It's odd to you because it's not the way you feel about it. So we
Right.
had this whole conversation about using the word strange and odd, like describing one of her sisters made a comment. That's strange. And it's like, wait. We don't do that. That's not what we do.
Mhm.
You listen to someone else's opinion. You internally can agree or disagree with it, but it's not your choice to be able to vocalize and tell
No.
someone when something is strange and odd. And it's something as simple as that. Think about it, Josh. If more parents would have parented, and I'm not going to go too far because this may get us both in trouble, but if more people have been parented in a way to be able to appreciate someone else's thought, opinion, differences,
Right.
we might be in a slightly better place. And I'll just stop there.
No,
But
it's so true. But
opportunity of ownership
man,
in families, right?
when you're talking about these words, right? So like,
Yeah.
it's huge with children, but it's huge with everybody.
Yeah.
If you're owning things, let's talk about the power of what you can start to own and inculcate into your ownership of who you are that isn't actually you. And I'm talking about the power of a spoken identity, especially with a child.
Yeah.
So very similar things have happened with my children. So let's just, for the ease of reference, use the same word that you used. This hasn't happened, or maybe it has happened exactly like this, but relatively so. Like one of the girls looks at the other one's like, that's strange, or you're being strange, or just using that sort of word.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much research on this, and I won't even dive into that, but just simply, it makes sense that the spoken identity over a child, the way that you speak to them about who they are and whose they are, is everything, especially in formative years.
Yeah.
So the way that you correct them from an encouraging disposition of the identity you're trying to develop them into, more than like, you're being like this. So quit berating them with the thing that, even if they're acting like that, you don't want them to become. The power of spoken identity. And I won't even give examples. Be a smart listener, be a smart person and figure it out. You know what I'm stepping in. You can smell it. Spoken identity is everything. So when you carefully choose words and identity that you speak into children and speak into others, that isn't riddled with contempt and dissension. And I'm not talking about diversity or divergence. Those are healthy things. I'm talking about division.
Right.
Divisive.
Yes.
Divisive. So like, maybe to not the native English speaker, a lot of these words might start pinging around. So let's just talk simply. You're trying to rip people apart instead of seeing the beauty in their difference.
Yes.
And when you use words like that, if you do it enough, children and adults alike will start to own it.
Yes.
They will own what you speak into and over them, especially if they've given you space to have a breath into their ear.
Yes.
So if they've gifted you that possession of, you have earned a voice in my life, and as a parent, you've earned that voice by the merit of being their parent. And if you've crucified that, that's your own fault. Being a parent, you have such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
So how are you speaking an identity that child can proudly own and possess and grow, and then later steward? But we're just talking ownership right now, man. And the parents have such a role and such, I think, a responsibility and an ownership as a parent to hear that crosstalk between the children and to hear the things that are coming into the senses of their children and to make sense of that for them and say, let me help you navigate what you just said.
Right.
It might not be mad, or it might not be a bad thing, but I want you to understand it.
Yes.
Now, is that how you would want to be spoken to?
Right.
No, Dad. Great. Then we don't do it.
There you go.
And then you don't stop there. You say, let's try again with a different word. What do you think would be a good alternative to that? What were you really trying to get across? You can be honest. Say what you needed to say in a healthy way. So it's actually instructive for you.
Yeah.
They might teach you something with something you hadn't thought, but it's now you're learning and growing together we're not just going to leave it at the you messed up thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a little bit of a redemptive quality and bring it back to good. There you go. There's your plug. We're going to bring it back to something healthy here. So what's a word we could have used, right? And we do that with our kids too, man. But like, those actions started with a thought. And if the thought wasn't rooted in an understanding, it's just foolish babbling.
Yeah.
I think it's such a simple, perfect example you just gave, I think. I don't think it needs to go deeper than that, because now you can start applying that to so much.
Yeah.
But I just think spoken identity, people are going to start owning that, especially children. So from that standpoint, man, you just struck a gold mine on that one. Goodness. But getting into the things that you say and owning it simply and well, when we get into the practice of ownership, this is a verse that stuck with me. My dad used to say this all the time, and I just love it for its simplicity, because actions don't have to be complex to be owned and to be effective. And this might seem like a weird one to choose, but I think you probably know where I'm going with it. So Matthew 5:37 says, "Let what you say be simple, yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil." So you might have heard, like, let your yea be yea, let your nay be nay, like simple communication and action. And there's a little bit of, I will give the dip into what I put in Substack for the behavioral science insight for this. So it's called a behavioral activation research. And it emphasizes that consistent intentional actions that are aligned with one's values reduce avoidance behaviors and they build resilience. So taking ownership by acting on our commitments with simplicity and directness. I just like that simple, accessible framework for it. So how does that resonate with you?
This has been an easy one for me. I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
I know it is.
This was not
That's how you are.
And Donnie will tell you the same thing, rest assured. I have always believed to be very clear in your communication with someone. I have always owned that. I've told people I work with, I don't believe in the gray. I do believe in very clear communication, letting people know what you expect, telling people what you like, what you don't like. And, in my younger years, people thought I was harsh. I used to get some feedback, them saying, me telling someone, hey, I didn't like X or I didn't like whatever it was, right? I'm telling you what it is I don't like, and now you're upset with me for telling you the truth. Like I don't know what I don't
Man,
know
what you want. Yeah.
I'll even put my father-in-law out there a little bit. I mean, who knows if he ever listens to this, but I think it's funny. I am not a big name brand person. That's just not my thing. What I do like, I like quality.
Right.
So for me, very rarely, I mean, extremely rarely, you're going to see me something with a brand on it, because I'm not a brand person.
Right.
And my father-in-law loves to buy things for us. And I remember very early in our marriage, he bought some shirts and some stuff for me. And it had I don't know if everybody remembers, like Polo went from back when I was in school, like the brand was like this small.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, maybe in the early 2000s, they started putting these huge, like Polo,
massive
brand just over the shirt. And I was like, I don't like that.
different style, but just as obnoxious as the Jinko jeans logo. Both were ridiculous, but different styles.
It's like, I appreciate you wanting to give me something.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. And my wife was just like, oh my God, I can't believe you told. I was like, well, I thought about it this way. I'm owning it. I didn't want him to keep buying me stuff, and then I didn't wear it. To me, that was worse, to accept the gift. And now you have someone continuing to buy something for you that you don't like. And you could have just said, hey. And I did. I explained. I was like, look, that's not my thing. I don't like stuff with like big brands and stuff all over it. That's just not how I like to show my personal style. That's just my thing. And I will say, for the first initial reaction, it was a little kind of strange. And then after that point, now he knows. We're 14, going on 14 years in. And it's like, oh, Fred doesn't like that. I know he likes this kind of stuff or likes X, and we have no problems. But it's the yay, yay, nay, nay, right? It's the ownership of saying what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, owning the responsibilities, those things that you sign up for, what you commit to, what you don't commit to. That's all that it means. And to me, that is always, I don't know why. It could be a personality thing. I think some of it could have been the way I was raised, but a lot of it was your word is your bond, right? That was a terminology that was used with me a lot. Your name means something. And when you hear your name, you use your name, and other people hear your name or your name is being used, make sure that it's always associated with you following through. So that was always a big thing for me. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues I have, but this is one that I've been somewhat committed to for life. And it's paid well in dividends. It has been somewhat uncomfortable initially with people when they first interact with me and they hear me just kind of say, I don't like that, or I don't want that, or no, I don't want it. That's another thing too. You get a gift and someone just automatically thinks you're supposed to accept it, and it's kind of like, thank you, but no thank you. I appreciate it. I don't eat X. I don't like X. You know what I mean? Right. So
yeah, and I feel like there's so much of other people's expectations, our own sensitivities or insensitivities to the people around us. Just owning yourself well, owning your own values, owning your own convictions, your own decisions, right? So, and it can be something as simple as maybe someone's like, hey, we're going to go out, have a dinner with someone, and someone's like, hey, you want a glass of wine? And you might drink, but then maybe for health reasons or nutrition reasons, or maybe you're doing a special diet or you're trying to perform well or whatever. It's interesting. Like you might be like, no. And it's really funny. There's I won't say his name, but there's a very senior officer who we had a big dinner one time, and it was when we first got around here, and he came over and I made a dinner, and he wanted to come over for the family bonding type of scenario. And he's like, this is great. But he was honest. And again, honesty and ownership, maybe we're almost using those words interchangeably, but they can be. Like you have to be honest if you're going to own it. So it's very well tied and knitted together. But he was honest. He said, yes, I would love to come over and have dinner with the families together. This is a great opportunity. But for some fitness reasons, because he had his upcoming like semi-annual fitness test. I'd already run mine and he needed to do his still. He said, I'm really strict on my diet for the like month leading up to it, just because I want to perform really well. And he's like early 50s now. I was like, oh, I get it. He said, so if you don't mind, it might seem funny to you, but I'll come over for dinner. And I was making like Murano family lasagna. Like you don't miss that. But he is like, I don't want to mess with the GI tract, the gastrointestinal, and then like go run a fitness test and have that bubbling around in my gut and me not be used to it and it blow a performance metric that I should have done well on. Yeah. So it made sense, but it seemed small, but I actually had a lot of respect for him just saying, I will come bring my own meal and have a dinner with you. I'm so thankful you invited me. So he didn't say no. Yeah. He didn't shun an opportunity to connect with people and to be social, but he brought his own meal. And I said, yeah, that's fantastic. So I sent him with leftovers. I said, after your test, you're having some leftover lasagna because it's too good. Come on, man, I made this. But I thought that was really cool. And from that, let a yes be a yes. Let a no be a no. He didn't feel pressured into a weird decision. He didn't say, no, I don't want to come, and then just sidestep the whole, I'm not going to eat dinner because I'm eating something different. He was just honest. And we had a great evening together. His gut stayed intact. We all got to enjoy each other's company. It was a great night, and he owned it, right? It might sound like a silly thing to say he owned it, but that was a decision and an action that he owned. That I think other people probably would have handled that much differently. They wouldn't have come at all, or they would have just ate the thing, or they just would have done the thing. They wouldn't have acted aligned to their own convictions or values or their own decisions, not another person's. And so again, circling back to the voices that are informing how you are acting and deciding and behaving, whose voices are those? Yeah. And it's not always a spiritual thing, but I will say there is something that is really healthy for me when it comes to owning decisions. And I try to ingrain this in my daughters all the time. If they ever are feeling weak or scared or afraid of things and they're not acting based on that, I say, hey, what is the spirit that our God has said he gives us? It's not one of fear. It's one of power, love, and a sound mind. And it's not pick your choice between those three. It's that tied together into one. So you should feel empowered by that decision. You should feel love and grace flowing out of that decision for you and also to others. And then you should have clarity, a sound mind. You shouldn't be a basket case or feeling this emotional and mental stress and strain. And if you're not at that space yet and you have time to just pray through it and sit with it and own it a little bit more and understand it, maybe don't act yet. Yeah. Maybe if you don't feel the trifecta of power, feeling empowered, feeling loved, and feeling sound and clear in mind, maybe you don't need to act yet because maybe it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't have the understanding you need yet to actually own that decision and that action. Because once you do it, you better own it. That yes better be a yes.
Yeah.
Because how frustrating is it when someone tells you yes and it becomes a no?
Ooh.
I'm going to meet you for dinner. No, I can't make it.
Ooh.
Now I can't trust you. Man, you're the one that always dips out on the friends getting together. Cool. I guess we're chopping you out the circle of friends.
Ooh.
Right? So like, yes, yes, no, no, let it be what it is. It holds a punch.
Yeah.
It does to me anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Before we move on, I'll let you.
No,
Like,
you hit it. That's the sort you almost knew exactly. So mine are RSVP.
That's a big pet peeve of mine.
That's it, mine too.
Yo.
On top of RSVP, people who know me already know. So I'm gonna put this out there just in case anyone doesn't know. If you ever want to unfriend with Fred, don't RSVP. Let me just tell you right now.
Don't tell him.
Is Jesus himself will need to speak to my heart on this one, because once you show lack of respect for not even simply being able to just respond to something,
not even give me the no, nothing.
I have very little more to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Y'all pray for me. I'm gonna need help on that one.
I mean, we're gonna do that anyway, man. But yeah. That's a fact, Jack. It's true though. It's like, get over yourself. Give them a response.
Yeah. I don't care if you don't come. Just say you can't make it. Or
Bueller, you got to say something.
Say you're coming and let me know in advance. That's it. That's all I'm asking. It's a simple, and it's electronic now. It's a button.
Boop.
It's a boop. Button. You don't have to put something in the mail. None of that. It's a button. That one, man. I'll tell you. Donnie knows that all my close friends. I don't do well with people who don't RSVP. It just
no. Oh my goodness.
I'm not inviting you anymore.
He said it. He said enough. We're just going to move on from this one. But if you have the honor and the privilege of becoming friends with Fred, don't do that stuff, because you're going to off ramp as soon as you on ramped. I promise you that. Good luck. You're going to be rowing upstream. That's a tough fight. Thank God I haven't done that. Oh man. So as we wrap this up for the heart and sort of, you crazy, man. But you're true. You're true. You own it.
I'm being honest.
You're owning it.
Yay, nay. Here it is.
Hey, and I'm with you on this one. Maybe we both have the same bias. Maybe that's why we're friends. Hopefully we don't punt that. But in Proverbs 4:23, it says, keep your heart with all vigilance or diligence, whatever version you're using. For from it flows the springs of life. So everything comes out of your heart.
Yeah.
So I think flowing from a heart that's anchored in truth and grace, like we've talked about, like being honest, being gracious to consider other perspectives, having a little bit of a wider lens on things, but carrying your responsibility with love and not resentment. That gratitude does transform that posture of ownership from this weight or this, I got to own this, to it's a privilege and a partnership with others. Choose that partnership well.
Yes.
Be thoughtful about how you are partnering and owning those relationships that you've been gifted. Like it's a beautiful gift. And there is a theory on moral agency, and you can go check out Substack. There's a lot of goodness in there. I'll give you some stuff. That's where I can sort of like unplug and do the nerd, like give you a little bit of research stuff if you want to dumpster dive it. But the importance of self-regulation driven by a moral standard, it's essential for sustained values-driven action. And the essence is that ownership without love, it does look a lot like legalism. Because if you're putting all these rules or all these tasks on yourself for ownership, it becomes this checklist and it's exhaustive. And that's so, man, I've grown up around a lot of that. I know a lot of people have. And it doesn't even have to be a religious based, like a legalistic mindset doesn't just tether itself to churches, but it does live there a lot. But if it's rooted in grace, it's very life-giving. So I would ask, and then I'm going to kick it over to you for your thoughts on this before we close out, but I'll just ask you to just pause for a second and ask yourself, like, where am I carrying a responsibility or carrying some ownership without love? And where is that risking my burnout? So like, where do I need to have a healthy dose of love in the way that I'm receiving the gifts I'm given, appreciating them for what they really are? And then maybe this will help us step more into a stewardship or a giving back. This mindset of like, now this is a privilege. It's not a weight necessarily. And it can be both. Like good things, healthy things can be heavy at times. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying it's light. And I'm not saying everything is rainbows and unicorn farts like my little girls might want you to believe. But gratitude and grace go a long way with ownership and balancing the scales. So I don't know. Thoughts over to you on that, how you've seen that in any aspect.
Man, you summed that up so well. I mean, what you said is all in alignment. It starts with your mind, your thoughts, the lens through which you see it, the actions, the decisions that you take. And I don't know, in my head, what I keep going back to is be honest. I mean, we talked about a lot of things over the past couple of minutes, and I think there's just something about doing that self inventory reflection of where am I not aligning my decisions and my actions with the thoughts that are in alignment? Because I think that's God, that's good. I think there are times where it's just a misalignment. It's not that our thoughts are always bad.
Right.
Some people just have problems with the follow through. It's the, hey, I know I'm supposed to do this. I know this is what I should be doing, but I'm not actually doing it. To me, that's what goes back to that honesty part. When you know you're not doing it, what steps can you make? What things do you need to change in your environment? Again, who you are around, maybe things that you're engaged in. Who knows what the topic is? It could be all kinds of reasons why you're not following through, but finding ways to make sure you are aware of what's stopping you from taking the appropriate action, making the decision that aligns to what you know to be true to get you the result that you really want. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, whenever we talked about the puzzle piece in the box, right? I got to go back to that one more time. Like God already knows how he wants this thing to end. Right. We got to trust him that even though the steps that we're taking don't feel right or so firm, we got to trust the God who we know already sees the big picture and take the actions and the steps to move forward. But until we have that level of trust, or at least change our mindset to know that God loves us, that he cares for us, that he wants what we want, which is hopefully in alignment to his will, that he knows how to get us there. And that's going to be some honest inventory, and then taking ownership of what do I need to do in order to move forward in that direction. So that honesty, man, I don't know, it's hitting me pretty hard to just be honest. Like we live in a society, man, that we all lie to ourselves. Yep. I mean, social media, unfortunately, the good and the bad, because I have learned a lot of positive things. Again, I hate people always slamming social media. No, there are some great things I have personally learned from people that I never would have had contact with because of that channel. Yet, there is a facade and an image that also is projected of perfection, and which is also very unrealistic, that I think some people don't connect with anymore when people are flawed or people reveal their flaws. And I'm not telling you to get on social media to reveal your flaws, but you can have that conversation with yourself or with someone you trust. Yep. If it's a spouse, a close friend, whoever you find, hey, I do inventory with my wife. I go, hey, babe, what could I be doing to be better?
Yep.
Now that I think about it, I haven't done it in a couple of months, but I was doing it pretty frequently.
Donnie, he probably coming at you with that honest, soon.
Right, here we go, right?
Here it comes.
Right. But that inventory of saying, hey, where am I missing it? And be honest and be okay with the feedback that you get from that. Yep. So the biggest thing, again, the honesty, the self-reflection, and then making sure that you are in environments or creating environments that hopefully support you making wise decisions and choices.
Yep. I'm gonna leave y'all with this thought, and then we're wrapping that gavel up, P. This is what we're doing. When we go through and we teach planners, and this has a planning mindset to it, but I'm gonna give it a little twist because I think as a husband and as a father and just as a man, that's really who I'm going to speak to directly on this. This is for all people of all races and sexes and everything. But I'm going to come at men for a second because I think that's what I know. That's who I am. So I can own who I am and I can speak from that position. So for everyone else, chew the meat, spit the bones, or tune out if you want. But for men that care to dial in and press in, when it comes to ownership, I would just really simply 3 things. I'd say, first of all, challenge the familiar. So when you're doing things, challenge what's familiar to you. And then explore the unknown. And then lastly, I would say put everything to the fire. Because in the fire, what is meant to be yours, that is meant to be owned, when you really question it and test it and put it to the fire, it's going to come out purified and even better, much like gold. And if it's wood, hay, or stubble and stuff you don't need in there and a bunch of weeds, it's going to burn up. So stuff that's familiar, don't be so familiar that that familiarity breeds contempt and you don't get rid of stuff that maybe you shouldn't be owning. And then explore, like, what could I be owning, gifts that maybe I could be developing in this season of life that I'm not even aware of. Maybe other people encouraging you could highlight gifts you have that you aren't aware of. Maybe you encouraging other people could point something out that someone needs in their life. They didn't even know they were good at it, that they were gifted at it. And your word of encouragement helped them own something and run with something that they didn't even know they had in their ball court. That's powerful. And then everything, put it to the fire. See what comes out the other side of that furnace. And if it's not meant to be there, hopefully it burns away. And if it's meant to be there, hopefully it's purified and it's better. Own it. Get into it. Get after it. We love y'all. We can't wait to hear what's going on. Let us know what you're owning, struggling with. We'd love to hear back from you. But this man got some self-care that he needs to go own.
That's right.
So,
I'm owning it.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Back to Good. Don't forget to follow Foundational Coaching on your favorite social media platforms. Fred and I are honored to be a part of your story today. We hope this conversation has helped bring your head, hands, and heart back to good.